Prepping tips: storing fresh fruits and vegetables for months without refrigeration. By Max Slavo. This is on Out of Mind. I'll leave a link. Based on the current situation with the pandemic and people emptying grocery stores because of it, there's desire to want to keep your vegetables fresh as long as possible, of course. It's possible to get more life out of them when utilizing cold storage. Most preppers will use this method of storage in the fall after harvesting their crops for the year from their own garden, but it can be used to keep store-bought produce fresh too, even though those vegetables are not as fresh. This method does not work for all fruits and vegetables, but most can be stored this way. Also keep in mind cold storage won't work in places where it stays warm year-round or climates that don't get a full winter. Your vegetables also won't last forever. When planting this spring, choose your vegetables wisely, what will grow well in your area and what will store well based on climate. Keep an eye on them throughout the winter and don't be shy about using them. Follow these general rules of food shortage. 1. Store only fully mature vegetables. Immature fruits and vegetables will rot quickly. Hold off harvesting as long as possible, especially with root vegetables that can withstand some frost. 2. Do not store vegetables that have been bruised or nicked or that show the slightest sign of rot. Be careful when handling them. 3. Remove all excess soil. Don't wash the vegetables, just let them dry and brush off the soil. You can wash them well before using them. 4. Thoroughly clean your storage area before each use. 5. Keep the storage area dark. 6. Do not expose stored vegetables to temperatures below freezing. 7. Check on your stored vegetables every week or two. Storage times are just approximations since vegetables, temperatures, and conditions can vary widely. 8. Use vegetables taken from cold storage as soon as possible. They will not last as long as they would if they had been freshly picked. You should also consider which vegetables need dry storage and which will require moist storage. The Spruce has a great article detailing the storage conditions for each vegetable. Dry vegetables, winter squash, pumpkins, onions, garlic, require less effort to store, but they need more space since indoor humidity is low during the winter. Make use of any unused dark spaces and corners. These vegetables store best if they're kept off the floor and are not allowed to touch each other. And if you must pile things on top of each other, you'll need to check them more frequently. Moist vegetables, potatoes, root crops, cabbages should be stored in a container rather than exposed to air. Traditional methods include storing them in peat, sand, sawdust, or newspaper, but you can also use plastic bags or cardboard. If you choose to use plastic, make sure there are a few holes for excess moisture to escape. To contain the odor of stored cabbages, you can wrap them in a couple of sheets of newspaper first. Locations. You likely have one of the following places available in your home to storage some healthy vegetables over the winter months. Basements. Cool, dry basements, 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 65 degrees relative humidity, will keep most vegetables fresh for at least a couple of months. Make sure the vegetables have good air circulation and some ventilation. Attics and entryways. If these spaces are unheated, they can be used for spreading out and storing vegetables that like dry conditions. Even an unheated spare room can be put to use, storing a few winter squashes on dressers or tabletops. Root cellars. For ideal cold, moist conditions, 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 90 to 95% relative humidity, consider a root cellar. A root cellar can be anything that remains above freezing, from a bucket in the ground to a crawl space under the porch, to an unheated section of the basement, to a cement enclosure building built into the side of a hill. Even in a root cellar, the vegetables will need ventilation and probably some insulation against temperature fluctuations. You also need to ensure that rodents do not get to them, of course. So take the time to look up each vegetable and the conditions they need to be stored. Not all are the same. To make things more simple, you can choose to plant vegetables that will all store in relatively similar conditions, and that will make things much easier. This is from Natural Blaze, and it's from Max Slavo. It's on Out of Mind 2. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.